Hi, Hearties. It's Elliot Wallach on the Edify Show, and we've got a very special guest today. I've been really looking forward to this. We have Amanda Wong, who plays Mei Sue in Wind Calls Heart, and she's the pharmacist of Hope Valley, and she comes in under fairly mysterious circumstances. Let's take a look.
It's not the only one either. Excuse me. Hello.
Good evening, Constable.
Did I see you ride into town?
Did you?
On a brown quarter horse?
It's a very common breed.
A very fast brown quarter horse.
Mei Sue.
Well, Amanda Wong, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, thank you for having me, and hi everyone out there.
I just love that scene. It's like, you were so intimidating. Are you that intimidating in person?
Well, I hope not. I don't think so.
So, how close was that particular scene in terms of like when you first started, when you first got on?
That was the first scene I had with Nathan, or Kevin McGarry.
Was it really?
Yeah, that was we met maybe 15 minutes before that moment, and we're just like, hi, and I went to the top of the stairs and walked down.
So the funny thing about Kevin is I found him to be like hilarious, like way funny.
So funny.
Like
so funny.
Yeah, raging extrovert. So when you got on there, like your 15 minutes, how long did it take you to figure that out? Was it like in the first, a minute, they're like, okay, this guy's funny? Or did he sneak up on you?
We were cracking jokes in the very beginning because, everyone was around and it was this huge group scene and I was like a little intimidated. It was one of my first days on, and so I didn't actually see the extent of how funny he was until a little bit later, but then it was full force, jokes all the time. And it's 3 a.m. and he's cracking jokes. Everyone's super sleepy. So this guy is just wonderful.
So I was looking into your career and I was really, really very fascinated. So if we can go, you grew up, I guess, in Vancouver.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Just to get it out of the way, nobody else is going to care about it maybe as much as me, but I care a lot because we talked about it in an email. I was a swimmer. What was your stroke? Was it in high school that you swam? Freestyle.
No, okay, so yeah. I started swimming when I was maybe 6 years old, and I competed up until grade 12, graduated. That was my mom's rule, and this was a family sport. Me and my brothers, we all swam together, and every weekend we're at the meets together. Yeah, I was a freestyler, and it's really interesting because I didn't go through puberty and I didn't grow until a little bit later. So suddenly in the span of a year or two, I just shot up. I got a lot taller, a lot stronger, and I was starting to win medals and things for the first time, and it was really awesome. Yeah.
So then you didn't swim into college. That was it. That was the end of your swimming career. And then I understand you wanted to go into science initially.
Yes. So when I was in high school and when I was competing and things like that, the natural thing to do was to become a lifeguard, of course.
Right.
Did you do that too?
No, I hit on a few. I didn't get real far, but yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a doctor when I was in elementary school, and I was really into that and into science and into how it all worked. I learned about the immune system in 6th grade, and I was hooked. So I wanted to be a doctor. And so my mom put me in this thing called St. John Ambulance. So they kind of teach children to be pre-paramedics. So we go and volunteer, and we, if you wanted to, you could compete in first aid competitions as well. So what you'll do is in a team of 4, you'll go out and assess a situation, all these fake simulated, they're actors with wounds on their arms and things like that. And you have to do this whole thing, and you have to basically be the paramedic before the paramedic comes in as perfect a way as you can, first responder. Right. So I do that, and I competed in that as well. And we did really well. My team came first in the province as well. And so then the transition to being a lifeguard was pretty natural. And then I became a diver when I was in college. And so I did some scuba diving and just very much in tune with the aquatic world. And I was really into science, so I decided to go into organic chemistry. I was one of the top chemists in my class in high school. And then I went to university, and first year I did the organic chemistry class, and I died. I had such a tough time. I was physically in just in cramps, in so much pain in the exam. And
wow.
Yeah, I was
things
never
are tough
again.
in Canada.
I was sweating. Yeah, it was so hard. It was such a hard class. The worst class I've ever taken. And that was the end of my science career.
So when you said you were a diver, you meant a scuba diver?
Yes, scuba diver.
That's some cold scuba diving in Vancouver, though. That's the wetsuit driving with the torture where you
That's
put it
true.
on and the water's like trickling down your back, and you like try to go to your happy place until you get totally wet. You know.
It's crazy actually. I've never gone diving here. I've gone in like Honduras. That's where I got my diving ticket, and I did the Philippines and like Belize. I've done only elsewhere, only in warm water. I don't know if I can do the cold water. I get too cold too easily.
But okay, so then when you were in college, you knew you did not want to go into science, but even still, that wasn't when you came to acting. Like, tell me what happened after that.
I had met up with a friend, and we are just catching up, a school friend, and he was like, "You should make a YouTube video, whatever, about Pokemon because it's so popular right now." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." I'd never acted before. We're just thinking about it and scripted something really fast, and we filmed it like in the next week or something. It was like something super quick, and then I was traveling because I was like going to see like friends in other parts of the world, and I hadn't traveled in a long time, so I was like just traveling around. And that video ended up being sent to an agency, and they were interested in me and asked to represent me.
Did you put it out to find an agent, or did dude have to like headhunt you?
So I posted onto Facebook at the time, and one of my Facebook friends, just a random friend that I'm not like super, super close with, but he's in the industry, and he's like, "Hey, like your video is really fun. Like, do you mind if I send it to a friend of mine?" And I was like, "Of course not. Go for it." Right. And he goes, "Yeah, like, they're an agent. I don't know if you're interested in this, but it'd be fun to like do commercials here and there, and while you're traveling, and make some money and bring it back home, spend it on your trips, whatever." And I was like, "That would be great. Cool. I don't mind." And yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And I was mostly just in commercials in the very beginning, and I did commercials for a bit, and I was actually doing very well in commercial land, and I really enjoyed it. And then I sent her a message, and I said, "Hey, what would it look like if I were to try my hand at acting in film and TV?" And she's like, "Well, these are the resources. Here's the principal agent, and I go take the courses and give it a whirle."
And then that's where it happened. And then from
And then
there
the
it just
next
went
thing I
on.
booked was When Calls a Heart. No, I'm kidding. But,
I know this whole thing.
yeah.
The whole thing is like some kind of awesome True Hollywood story, right? I mean, this is like the way thing. And then this was before her third Academy Award, of course. This is such a cool thing. Before I move off the commercial, I'm curious, what was the coolest one that you did? Like, did you travel, or was it all like local to Vancouver?
There were a few ones that I traveled for. I traveled to Mexico for Samsung one time, and that one was really cool. That one's actually swimming related, so I feel like you might have a
there we go.
career in commercial land.
We've come full circle.
Yeah. It did really feel full circle, and it did feel like all these random skills I had acquired from my mom making me take classes when I was young was really like helping me in the future.
Right.
So one of the coolest ones that I did, it was I had to swim in a glacier. So it was.
Sounds warm.
Yeah, it was in February, and they're trying to make it look like it was summer, but it was very, very cold. And you jump into the water, and we can do cold water, but this is so cold you forget how to swim for a second. So yeah, my body kind of like went into shock for a quick second, and then it was fine after. And I just kept jumping into the cold water over and over again. And they're like, "You want to warm up in between?" I was like, "No, if we warm up in between, it's going to be probably more problematic." So the glacier was in Vancouver, well, in BC, but outskirts of Vancouver. But Mexico was, they made a waterfall for this commercial. Or it was kind of like it was just a man-made pool with a little waterfall and things. And so it was just to show the waterproof feature of the phone. And so I'm just jumping, with my friends, like hanging out with my friends in Mexico. That was like the idea. And it was actually fun because in this man-made pool, there were these little blue lobsters in the water.
Right.
And so there were some scuba divers who were holding on to us to make sure we weren't like getting washed away by the waves and things.
Right.
And after we finished shooting, they're like, "Do you want to go down and see these lobsters?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I like go down. We're like swimming around, looking at these lobsters, and I come up and I realize that everyone's been doing print for the last like hour. So they were taking photos, and I just completely missed all of that. And I was down there in the. Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, shoot, like, is it okay?" And they're like, "Oh, no, it's fine, whatever, like, you're good." And I was like, "Oh, man, my agent might be a little bit mad that I didn't stick around for that part because I didn't know that was happening. But thankfully, they still had a shot of me, and then they used that as my print. I was like, oh, good.
Oh, good call. So when you went down there, did you actually borrow their scuba equipment? Is that how that worked? So then the scuba diving, did we come full circle that way too?
Yeah, it sounds unhygienic now that we're in the pandemic, but yeah, yeah, I did. They just gave me an extra mouth guard. Yeah.
It's all good. Wow, that's interesting. So then would you say that was your coolest one? Was that the peak commercial?
Yeah, I think I would say the glacier and that one is probably the cooler ones. Yeah.
So do you speak any languages?
Yes, I speak Cantonese, and I learned Mandarin while I was in school and university, and I work on it a little bit at home, but not often. I mostly speak Cantonese at home.
You must have grown up learning Cantonese, right? You just grew up, so for you, it's English. Do you speak both of them the same? I would imagine.
Well, I would say that I'm better at in English because I can read and write better. But I went to Chinese school when I was in elementary school, and it was a special school that had after school program. So every day I got off an hour and a half later than regular kids, and I didn't know that to be different. It was just everybody in my school. We had Chinese after class. And at the time, it was, better as it is when you're practicing it every day. But now my vocabulary has gone down a little bit, and I can't really read as many words or write as many words. But I still got it, and I can converse with my family. And as I told you, I have a great grandmother who's 102 this year, so she speaks in English, but also mostly Chinese. When I came around and started doing the art stuff, it was it's not a kind of a world that we really super know well, and they don't really see me in that light. I did one commercial prior to the commercials that I did here, and I remember telling my mom about it, and they had me come in for something else, read for something else, and it was in Chinese, and I was telling her the line was "be careful" or something, and I was just butchering the one line I had, be careful. I was like, be careful. It was just so bad. And I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, if you had any hopes of me ever acting, this is it. It's dead in the water. There's no way. And we just laughed about it. And I think that's where it kind of lived in her for a really long time. And I came back and I did it, and I just didn't really mention it. And there's one time where I was in a campaign for the mall. So I had 2 big billboards outside of the mall of my face. And I was wrapped all around one of the train stations, but my mom just never saw it. And
wow.
We've driven past the mall, and she just didn't clue in that it was me. And we just never really, I don't know, I guess she never saw me in that light. So it's hard to see someone that on TV when you just aren't imagining it to be them. She's seen a commercial of mine and just didn't clue in that it was me.
So at this point, you're here where you've become an actress, and then
I know what you're gonna ask.
I'm going.
So here's the thing: I still haven't told my mom, and I still haven't told my grandmother, and I've been waiting for the opportune time. And then the season finale happened, and I was like, well, now it's a little bit late. When do I tell them? And when we're filming, it's funny because my hair is like this, pretty straight.
Right.
But on the show, it's very curly. So my mom's always like, why are you coming home with curly hair every day? She has no idea. And she's starting to catch on. She asked her best friend, and I've told her best friend. And her best friend comes up to me. She goes, your mom just asked me if you're on a show. And I was like, okay, what did you say? She's like, I panicked and I said yes. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, it's okay.
One day your mom, if she can come onto the set, she's going to be welcomed like a queen. Everybody's going to be...
It's so interesting because you know what? Bizarrely, I think she would also really love it.
Well, I really enjoy you in Wind Calls the Heart. I think you've got a very bright future. I think they're very lucky to have you, and I think
Thank you.
No, I mean it. And I think that, I think that the whole thing, that whole thing makes it, let me put it this way. I think there will come a day where even there'll be no way to hide it, but
yeah.
Yeah, but I really want to thank you so much for coming on the program. I think this is going to be really exciting to unfold. I'd love to have you on again. You've been terrific.
I'd love to be back.
Yeah. So thanks again, and we're going to be looking for you now that we got a season 10. Everybody tune in to see more of Amanda as it unfolds at Wind Calls the Heart next year. We're all excited. Thanks again, Amanda.
Thank you.
Wasn't Amanda great? I really enjoyed talking with her. She was super personable. The thing I love is, I love Mei Su, the character on Wind Calls the Heart, but I love the backstory. I love the true life stuff. And on that note, I saw a story, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to get this on the Edify Show. If you didn't see this, it is so moving. It's going to blow your mind. So this woman inherited her great-grandmother's wedding ring. So it's like this wedding ring that 1899, her great-grandmother was born in 1899, her wedding ring went to grandma, went to mom, and then she inherited this ring, and she used it as her wedding ring. So her and her husband were on the beaches in Hampton. They're playing catch football, like waist-deep water. And she goes to catch the ball, and like 1 in a million shot, the ball hits her hand just like perfect, and then the ring flies off into the ocean. Could you imagine? And they look for it, they can't find it. Could you imagine that happening? And what happened is the most beautiful story. You are going to love it. We made something, just take a look.
So when I lost the ring, we were at the beach and we decided to go in the water and play some catch with the football. We were just kind of horizontally throwing the ball back and forth. And when my husband threw this one throw, it wasn't quite towards me, and I just put my hand out to stop it from really hitting anyone behind us. And it just popped on the ring on my finger in the perfect way that it just flew off my finger, and I just saw it disappear. It's about 80 years old. I actually knew my great-grandmother because she lived till she was 105. She was born in 1899 and got this ring when her and her husband emigrated from Sicily to the United States. They bought this ring here, and she left it to my mother when she passed in the hopes that my mother would then pass it to me one day. So growing up, I knew if I wanted to get married and I didn't want to have to make my future husband buy a diamond, I had a ring. It just stunk, and just that something so precious could be gone so quickly was really, really hard to get over. The lifeguard actually told me there's like a Hampton Beach specific group. So he figured if I could get into that and post something, those individuals would share it, or at least know more people in the area than I did. So that's what I did.
I saw the post, and when I saw the post, it said, it started off, "This is a long shot." And I was like, yeah, that is a long shot. Hampton Beach, that's a big beach. And then I thought, well, look, I'll forward it to Lou and see what he says.
I told my wife, I'd like to just go and check out Hampton Beach and see the area where this thing is and just see if it's doable. I didn't know how the surf was going to be or what. I wanted to get there at 2 a.m. So my wife said she didn't want me in the water by myself at night. So she hung out on the beach while I was in there. We slept in the car. We went to the beach, and the tide was high at the time. And Nikki said, let's just crash right here. We'll sleep right here, and you can wait. You have all your equipment. At 2 o'clock, we'll go in.
He, shared with me that he slept in his car. And to me, that was insane. I'm like, wow, thank you so much. Like, you don't have to do that. And he just messaged back, people helping people.
2 o'clock, my alarm goes off. I suit up and I head down there. I had my headlamp on. I had my wetsuit on and searching all over. Did not find her ring. I contacted her and told her, I'm sorry, I didn't find it this time, but I do plan on going again. I went there, and as I'm walking towards the water, someone came running up to me, "Are you Lou?" And it was Francesca. So she was there with her husband, and I was able to talk to her and get more specifics, more details of where they were. And so I was basically, as far as her description went, I was right around in that same area.
We probably searched 3.5 hours ourselves that night, and Lou was there the whole time. And Lou updated me at like 11:30 that night that he was just heading out, and that not to lose hope.
I was saying, Lou, you've already been up there twice. You've already had 2 low tides and 2 attempts at night, and you're giving it your best shot. I'm trying to explain to him, Lou, you don't have to go back up there. Then he goes, it's not done yet. almost like a Clint Eastwood wave. You know, he goes, "This is, my work is not done yet." Something like that. I was like, okay, have a good trip.
I just decided, you know, tide's low. I'm going out deeper. If I don't find her ring, maybe I'll find something else, a dime, a nickel, I don't know, just something. I'll find something. And so when I went out deeper, I got a hit. The waves were annoying. I was cold. I was hungry. I wanted to get out. And so I was turning around, and just to the point where I was walking back to my car, I got a nice strong hit on the detector. And I pushed the scoop into the sand. And with one scoop, the first scoop of sand, I put the detector back over the hole, and there was nothing there. And I figured, okay, what's in the scoop? It's got to be in the scoop. I shook it around, and I looked in, and the diamonds were flashing back at my headlamp. And I'm like, it's over. It's over. And I carefully held the scoop, not to get knocked over by any waves. I walked out. I walked out of the beach. Once I got up on the beach, I took it out and I put it on my finger, and I held it as tight as possible. I'm not going to lose this thing. I immediately went back up to the car. It was about 8:45 p.m. at that time. So I put it there by my card and by the head of the detector. I took a picture, and I said, please tell me this is the ring so I can finally get off this beach.
And that's when I got a message. And his first message said, "This better be it, because I'm ready to get off this beach," with no picture. So I sat there for like what felt forever. It was probably honestly only 45 seconds, but it felt like forever, waiting for a picture because he just told me he found my ring. And then the pictures came through, and my heart just like leaped. Didn't drop, it leaped. It was just so excited, and I was in shock in a way, and just told my husband, like, he found it. And then my husband just burst into tears. And we were just so happy. We could not believe it.
She wanted to know where we could meet. And I said, well, you know, I still have some work to do. I'm getting out of my wetsuit. I got to put some things away. You know, I'm not quite ready yet, but why don't I just bring it to you?
We went out and met him outside of the yard, and he takes out this plastic bag, which I was like, oh, thank goodness he put it in something, because that 30 minutes I was like, it's what's going to happen. Something crazy is going to happen. A seagull's going to fly through the window, take the Ziploc bag, or take the ring and like bring it back to the ocean. I don't know. Something crazy is going to happen. But he had it, so I just felt so relieved. And then he like looked at us and he said, but I got to give it to him because he's got to put it back on your finger. And
I told him, don't open it yet. I want to get a video of you putting it back on her finger. And so he waited. I parked the car, I got out, and I got my camera ready, and then he got down on one knee and he reenacted the proposal. And I got it on my camera. I got it on my phone.
But apparently it needs to happen again. Will you marry me, Francesca?
Yes, I will. All right. I was just like so excited, and it just felt so like he's just such a sweet man. And just so genuine that he really he wanted to have that moment for us.
I wanted to see that video again. So I stopped. I think I pulled over in some parking lot, either CVS or McDonald's, I forget what it was. And I watched the video, and I actually got a little teary-eyed. I don't know why. Maybe something like that gets me a little emotional, but it was so cool to see that again, just to see him put that on her finger and how happy she was. So that's a video I'll keep forever. That's awesome. What's really cool is, as a reward, she gave me, her husband handed it to me, an underwater metal detector. Now, this is something that I had been wanting to buy, and I couldn't really justify spending the money.
Yeah, we bought this underwater diving metal detector that's a handheld, so you can swim with it and search around. When Lou did come bring me the ring, we knew that had its rightful owner with someone who was actually going to use this and be able to use it right.
When you get down to it and think of what's more rewarding, I could find an old coin from the 1700s and yeah, it's cool. Okay, but if I find a ring say from the 1800s, that means a lot to someone, and I'm able to give it back, and I get that emotional feeling. I don't have any kind of emotional attachment to a coin or any kind of relic that I found. But when you find something that means a lot to someone and you're able to recover that and give it back to that person, that's a feeling worth much more than just money or much more than putting it in a collection. It's hard to explain. You know, Mike and I understand how it feels to return something that just absolutely has to be returned. And to correct that bad feeling that someone has about loss. And we've all been there. We've all lost something that's, you know, means a lot to us, very sentimental to us. We want it back. It's a horrible feeling. And to be able to turn that around, that's, like I said, worth more money than could ever be paid to us.
Isn't that inspiring? It's so great to know people like them even exist. And I'm excited to say I have them with us right now in studio. Mike, Lou, Francesca, thanks so much for joining us and being part of the program.
Thanks for having us.
So Lou, if somebody loses a piece of jewelry, a ring, or just something precious like that, what are some tips? I mean, what do you recommend people do if that happens to them?
If that happens right then and there, I'd say, and they feel it come off, stay put. Kind of like what Francesca did. She called for help, but stand in that spot and try to mark that spot, either by, say, placing something heavy. I don't know if there was a cinder block or anything around. So she noticed her location. She saw the 18, and the way she explained it to me, it was almost directly where she said it was. It was right out from the 18. It was a little bit further out than we calculated. As I'm walking back in, I saw my location, and I was like, I was walking directly to the 18. So it was right where she said it was.
That's great advice. I mean, especially when you lose something that precious. Francesca, what did your mom say? I would think she'd have to be one of the most heartbroken. When it was found, I mean, how did she respond?
Yeah. She couldn't believe it at first. And she wasn't totally understanding that someone else found it for me and that they were looking for it. She couldn't comprehend what Lou actually did. And she was just so grateful and so happy. And then she was like, "Do you have it?" I'm like, "Yes, I have it. It's on my finger now."
Lou, have you met the mom?
No, not the mom.
I understand you have a lifetime invitation for Thanksgiving at the Teal household.
Okay.
Yes, my mother-in-law was also with us the day that I lost it. So she was also very thankful for Lou and helping find it as well.
That's 2 Thanksgiving invitations, Lou. You're going to have a lot of food to choose from in New Hampshire.
Give them all a hug from me, okay?
Of course.
So, Mike, I think of everybody listening or watching, you're the one that can fully appreciate what a miracle it was that he even found this and what it took to make it happen. I mean, especially since you're the one that's been doing this. I mean, you're the one that has all this experience doing this with Lou.
You know, this is made a lot of news, but this is something that he's done a few times. And from my perspective I think he's the most generous person I know. He's the most selfless person I know. He would give you a drink before he took a drink. And that's what I see from him every day. So it doesn't surprise me that much because, you know, he does it a lot and he does it for the right reasons.
Based on what Mike said, Lou, I think you have 3 Thanksgiving invitations now.
He's already fed me Thanksgiving dinner. During COVID, we couldn't go out. We didn't have family dinner. So they cooked up a couple of dinners here at Mike's house, and they gave them to us. So my wife and I had an amazing dinner, a giant plate full of food.
Just to print that, he actually shopped for me for a full year during COVID, so I wouldn't leave the house and endanger my son who was sick. So
wow.
he took care of me for a year. It's the least I could do
Wow.
was get him the Thanksgiving dinner.
You know, you guys are the epitome of the kind of stories I want to tell. I just applaud your friendship and your desire to help others. I really believe there's a lot of good people out there, and it's really illustrated by this. And I know there were a lot of other people out there too, you know, helping. I mean, they weren't 2 hours away or sleeping in their car, but it's nice to see there were so many people that cared about Francesca, that cared about you, and that had never met you at all.
Yeah, it really was.
I just think that is so cool. I sincerely care about all of you. I thank you so much for sharing this story with the Edify Show. It was moving when I first read about it, but meeting you like this, it's just so much more powerful. Thanks so much for coming and sharing your story with us.
Well, thank you for having us on.
And thanks to you guys, you know, for watching our program. Please like and share and subscribe and just post our YouTube link, you know, all over the place. You can pick up official Edify Show swag and shirts and stuff at edifystore.com. And then, of course, any Wind Calls to Heart DVDs or merchandise. Got a million cookbooks. It's just a great way to support us. You know, I know there's someone out there thinking, I'm going to go pick up a metal detector and I'm going to go help people find their lost items. And you know, I really want to encourage you to do that. You know, everyone's heard of copycat crimes. I think it would be great if we could start having copycat kindness. I mean, there's so much out there right now about all these horrible things that people are doing to each other, and it's depressing. But you know what? It's not entirely accurate. There's a lot of kindness, there's a lot of goodwill, there's a lot of great people that's just not getting reported because it just doesn't get the clicks. And you know what? It's time to change that. It's time to start bringing attention to it. If you've got a story idea, please email us at story@edifyshow.com. We'll read every single one. And thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Edify Show.